So welcome everyone today to our Business Women Australia online mastermind, Wellbeing for Leaders, with the phenomenal Julie Fox from Pynk Health. And I just want to do, here we go, a quick acknowledgement of country. So I actually live in Boorloo in Perth on the Whadjuk land of the Noongar Nation. And I just want to pay my respects to all of our leaders, past, present, and emerging. And I am Leanne Jeffrey. I'm the business coordinator for Business Women Australia. And I work with everyone to help co-create your success. So Julie's come in today with phenomenal insight to women in business. And we just wanted to share that amongst everyone. And we have a massive collection around Australia, business owners, entrepreneurs, people coming into their own business and becoming an entrepreneur, all of our directors, executives, C-suite professionals, consultants, women on boards. We welcome everyone and we want to help everyone to grow. So part of our growth today is we talk about well-being, but well-being covers so many aspects. So it does cover our leadership. It does help us if we've got our mental health and our staff's mental health in check. It helps us with our business improvement, our personal growth, our influence, our ability to connect. So it's such an important topic. And I'm so grateful that Julie's here to connect with us and help us with this. And we love everyone. As much as we are Business Women Australia, we will include everyone in our topics. So, and we value your insight. And as I've said today, talking about mental health and our well-being for leaders, we want you to share. So please share, please think of yourself, be open and mindful and think of others. And if you share deeply and you don't want this processed on the internet when we upload our recording, please let me know, because we want to honor you. We want you to be able to be open with us. And of course, we're membership based and there's so many membership benefits. If you'd like to know more, reach out to me. Anybody who registers for one of our events, I will add a few months to your membership if you're joining in the next week. But I would actually like to have that one-on-one conversation with you outside of this. And we are a national collective. So have a listen to our previous podcasts. We've had a talk with Kristen Bowers about unpacking menopause. So any women who are very similar to me, of a certain age, going through perimenopause or menopause after, it's a fabulous listen. And of course, Lynn and Leslie have had a chat with the boardroom and stepping into your truth, with my spelling mistake there, excuse me. We have a few events coming up around the country. We have a courageous conversation as BWA turns 9 on the 25th of September with Lynn and Vita. And we have a career transition workshop with the amazing Joe Robin from Black Nova. Perth, we have our Chats, Cheese and Wine, Hiding the Leader Within, Stifles the Leader Without. I think that one's actually nearly booked out. So if you want in, please get in quickly if you're in Perth. And then we follow on with our Masterclass, Nimble Goal Setting with Lynn, and a November Perth Long Lunch with Vita again. Now, if you're a leader in BWA and you want to see a few more webinars, masterclasses, podcasts, and events around Australia, contact me today and we will get them set up, because I'm preparing for November as we speak. And please don't forget to join and follow and connect with us. And I will stop talking now, because I'm going to leave you in the hands of Julie, and she can share her amazing insight. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you, Leanne. That's such a huge introduction. It's sort of big shoes to fill. So hopefully I can. All right. Hopefully I've shared my screen correctly, Leanne. Yes, perfect. Thank you. Fantastic. All right. I'm just going to move everybody out the way. There we go. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. It is an important session. It's probably one of those things that we all put on the back burner and think that other hard skills are more important than looking after ourselves. But hopefully by the end of today, I'll be able to influence your thinking around that in terms of believing it to be one of the most important, if not the most important skill to have as a leader. So basically what we're going to talk about today is start with a shared understanding of what wellbeing is, or just getting a bit of a definition around that. Go through some stress management and building resilience, some strategies to help achieving work-life balance. That's that concept that I think we're always all chasing. And then how do we integrate mindfulness and healthy lifestyle choices into being a leader and our personal lives, and then wrapping it up at the end of that. I think we're a relatively small group, so I think we'll stay together in terms of talking through some of these things. I ask that go out on a limb, share, talk, take yourself off mute, jump in at any time. Hopefully this is a little bit more relaxed. Humour is definitely one of the most important things I think that we can include. And so, any funny anecdotes that you've got, feel free to share, just interrupt and throw them in there. I will try and refrain from any jokes because apparently they're quite bad. I keep getting told by close colleagues and children, adult children. So I'll try and keep them to myself, but I'd love to hear yours. But there is a chat box, as you know, so feel free to put anything into the chat or, interrupt me as we go. Very briefly about me, I am a clinical psychologist, and I was just thinking this morning, how many years have I been? That it's nearly 30 years, which actually makes me very sad because I feel so old. But my background is very much working sort of in government organisations or non-government organisations in leadership roles and private practice and in and out. Only in the last 5 years, nearly 4.5, 5 years, did I decide to actually step into a business. And apart from having kids, I think it's the hardest thing I've ever done. It really, I thought I was well prepared. I'd been in leadership positions, and I've even, I've completed an MBA, which did nothing to help for the challenges that I've actually faced in the last 4.5 years and continue to face. So as much as sometimes I feel a bit like an imposter talking about this, because as much as we're going to talk about strategies, a lot of the time I think, oh yes, that actually is something that I could apply today. And so it is an ongoing part of, I guess, of growth and leadership. All right, so let's jump into it. But first of all, I want to ask you a question. What are your challenges, or what actually stops you from maintaining your wellbeing? Now, I think we're all going to say time. All of us are time poor, absolutely. So dig a little bit deeper. What's underneath that? What is it that stops you from allocating time to your wellbeing at the moment? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? If you're happy to share it, take yourself off mute and share, or pop it in the chat box, whatever you think. What are your current challenges? Go for it, Carrie. Thank you.
I will, Julie. I'll start you off.
Fantastic.
I'm actually think I'm a little bit older than all of you. So in saying that, I have empty nesters. So only been doing this in my own work for about 5 years. So the wellbeing challenges are not necessarily the balance, but I am also a carry-ma. So we have 8 grandchildren, and not that they all live here in Sydney. We've got them around about, but I try not to say no because they're not in our vicinity all the time, and I don't get asked to. We're not doing 3 or 4 days a week, so that's not impinging on the workplace. But it is still a challenge when you want to be connected with these wee ones because they're just so important for the future.
Yep.
I see them as future leaders. So, what can we do for them? So there's a bit. So I tend to err and go, yeah, I'll put that aside and I'll do that another time. So that's probably the challenge. So keeping fit, doing all that sort of stuff is easier now than I think it was when I was a young mum.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
That's not the challenge. The other challenge is when you've had some big family news that's fractured the family, and that's occurred with us this year, we had the death of our mum, and I think that has actually played more on the cognitive and the emotional skills.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's that. So there's two things. One about they're all about family, but different aspects of family. So
yes.
I'm happy for you if you want to keep that in the recording as well. So.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That takes a lot of courage, but yeah, it's interesting how things do change over time. And even I absolutely agree. When you're a young mum, it's, you know, I think back now and think, gosh, I feel like I missed so much because did I have the wrong idea about prioritizing and thinking, no, you need to put more into work, you need to do that because you've got to be, you know, try and succeed somewhere. And did somehow I miss things that were so important? So yeah. Yeah, that's hard. Yes, thank you. Appreciate that. Anybody else want to share what their challenges are in maintaining your well-being?
Yeah. So, hi, my name is Priscilla.
Priscilla.
For me, I have 3 boys. 2 of them are 14, 12, and I have a 5-year-old. I decided to start university part-time for cybersecurity, and I'm working at the moment. And
Wow.
I think my challenge is that I have always given priority to my family. So I run around the clock, you know, like if they have an activity at school, I give priority to that, which means that I'm running. And it is stressful in a way that I know I need to be with them and at the same time finish my work. And the university that at the time when I enrolled, I wasn't working at the time.
Yep.
But I feel something that keeps pushing me is when people say, oh, this is going to be too difficult for you. In my brain is like, I need to do it, right?
Yes.
So when I started working, my husband was like, oh, maybe it wasn't a good decision to start your certificate in cybersecurity. And in my brain was like, no, it is. So so I think those are the main challenges that I have. But so far I can say that I have always given priority to my kids. But that means I'm sometimes working at different hours, you know, so I ended up working late or getting up very early. But yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, not dissimilar to what Carrie was sharing too, really, in terms of prioritize family, but it can be at your cost as well, because then you fit everything else in before yourself. So yeah. Thank you, Priscilla. Really appreciate it. Yeah. Anybody else want to? Sorry, Priscilla, go on.
Oh no, I was going to say in the comments we've got, you know, being tired, having kids, new business, big family, you know, tired after like long working hours, not prioritizing themselves, you know, losing a loved one in the family, and you know, having priorities of other family members are also in the comments as well.
Thank you. Yeah. So there's definitely a theme running through there, and it is around other people come first quite often in our lives. It's, you know, often family. Sometimes it's your business as well, which can become a bit like an extended part of your family, where you don't see the importance of actually looking after you. So yeah, interesting. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. So let's get to a bit of an understanding around what wellbeing is. I guess as leaders, our responsibilities are absolutely huge. We are expected to inspire and to guide and make critical decisions and really, you know, shape the future of our organisations and our teams as well. And in the midst of that, it's easy to neglect your own wellbeing, which I think everybody that's shared then has sort of described well. But here's, I guess, the most important point about today. Your well-being, or having, you know, a personal well-being, isn't just a nice to have. It's not a luxury. It's actually essential for effective leadership. When you're well, when you're mentally, physically, and emotionally well, we perform better. We do much better. We make clearer decisions. We're more resilient under pressure, and you're better able to support your teams. If we reverse that, if you think of that on the flip side, when you're not well, when you're stressed, when you're burnt out, I don't know if anybody else shudders when you hear the word burnout, but I hear it so many times from my team. It really, and particularly younger, that I'm going to go off on an offshoot, but I won't for very long. But from younger workers now will often raise, feeling burnt out. So every time I hear that word now, it gives me shivers. I think, oh no, what is burnout exactly? And I think, again, that's a different definition. But obviously when our wellbeing is compromised, then fatigue, stress clouds our judgment, and you can't be creative, I guess, and it also interferes with your ability to connect with others. And whether that's at work or personally, there's a big impact. So to really sort of grasp the importance, if we break it down into 3 areas, firstly, if we talk about wellbeing as the 3 pillars or the 3 core pillars of wellbeing, the first one is mental wellbeing. It's about maintaining that healthy mind. It includes managing your stress, staying focused, and cultivating that really positive mindset. As leaders, our mental clarity, it's crucial for making decisions and really navigating complex situations and challenges, which I think, unfortunately, we all face in leadership roles. Sometimes for some of us, it's a daily thing. Alongside that is obviously your physical well-being, your energy levels, your stamina, your overall vitality. Regular exercise and obviously sleeping and eating well are so important, fundamental to sustaining the energy needed to lead effectively. Obviously, when your bodies are good, when you're in good shape, you're more alert, you're more productive and better able to handle the physical demands of leadership, which are huge. The third pillar that we talk about is that emotional well-being, your ability to manage your emotions and maintain healthy relationships. As a leader, our emotional intelligence, which is your ability to be aware of your own emotions and others around you, is key to building, strong teams and creating a positive work environment. And I know for myself that, if you have a rupture or a fracture in a relationship with someone, whether that's personally or even with someone that you're working with, it really impacts my ability to think clearly about other things. It weighs heavily on my mind. And, I do the flip-flop backwards and forwards. Could it have been different? What have I done? What have they done? That sort of thing. And it really takes up a lot of space. So that's why it is incredibly important to understand how these 3 pillars really make up our well-being. And they're all interconnected, obviously, because if you neglect one, then the others are likely to suffer. For example, if you are stressed for a significant period of time, it obviously turns into physical problems, or it can turn into physical problems. If you end up with physical health problems, that's absolutely going to impact on your emotional well-being too. So that's why it's really essential that we nurture all 3, the mental, physical, and emotional pillars of your well-being. So when we think about how do those pillars of well-being directly influence your effectiveness as a leader, firstly, there's decision-making. When you're mentally sharp, when you've got energy physically, and you're emotionally balanced, your decision-making improves. You're able to approach problems with clear, focused mind and make choices through, being reflective rather than reactive, being thoughtful and strategic. Obviously, resilience is incredibly important in the roles that we all have as leaders, because there is so much complexity. It's so much about navigating adversity and uncertainty. When you're well, you're far more resilient. You can bounce back from those setbacks, when there's difficult situations or things haven't turned out the way you'd hoped. If you're well, you're far better equipped to manage those sorts of difficulties and keep moving forward with a positive outlook. I guess the other thing is that when you have good well-being, or when you're well, you influence those around you far more effectively. You're in a better position, because when our teams see us managing our well-being effectively, it actually sets a really powerful precedent for the rest of them as well. And they want to do the same, or they follow lead, which in turn pays, so in such a big way, because they're looking after themselves. And then obviously we're going to get more from them too, in terms of productivity, happiness, satisfaction. Important thing about leadership is that it's not a sprint, it's actually a marathon. Sometimes I have to admit, I wish it was a sprint and I could see the end and it was coming to an end and I could walk away and do something else, but it's definitely not like that. It means sustaining really high performance over a long period of time by investing in those very 3 things: the physical, emotional, and mental health. We've got to ensure that you've got the stamina to effectively go day after day. So in essence, really, your personal wellbeing is the bedrock of leadership effectiveness. when you look after yourself, you're also looking after those around you, and really help inspire and drive positive outcomes for the teams that you're leading and your organisation as well. So I guess this is a minute or a couple of minutes to reflect on you. So hopefully on the screen, you can see the 3 different areas: the mental wellbeing, physical wellbeing, and emotional wellbeing. And I want you to rate yourself. Use the questions underneath in the second box to help prompt where you're at the moment. And I'll just give you a couple of minutes just to go through how would you rate yourself in each of those areas, and anything you might want to jot down or be happy to share in a couple of minutes too, we'll go through together. When you're ready, if you would like to, feel free to take yourself off mute and share where you are in any or all of those areas, and even some comments around the questions in the second box would be great. It can be difficult sometimes to share some of that stuff. But I guess in summary, as I said earlier, wellbeing is not a luxury. It's a necessity for leadership. And I think focusing on those 3 areas, or they really do make up the foundations of what wellbeing is. So as we talk through the rest of the hour and a bit together, keep those in mind, because they really are foundational. All right. Okay, so now that we've sort of established the importance of wellbeing, let's talk a little bit about some practical strategies for managing stress and building resilience. And obviously, they're crucial aspects of maintaining mental and emotional health. Obviously, leadership roles, stress comes with the territory. It's one of those things that I guess you sort of expect is going to occur. But how you manage it is obviously going to make or break the effectiveness of your leadership. So how does stress affect us and our organisations? We often talk about the impact of stress or and what it does do to us. We're often under significant pressure, whether it's making high stakes decisions, managing a team, which for me, I don't know what other people think, but that's probably the most stressful thing for me out of all the things that we have to do as leaders. I find managing people really, really stressful, because they don't do what I want them to do, which would be so much easier. And in fact, if we took people out of it, I think my job would be far less stressful, but they're an important part, obviously. So I don't really mean that. But whether it's making those, really difficult decisions, as I said, or managing the team or meeting deadlines, when stress becomes chronic, it's got serious consequences for us and also obviously for our organisation. On a personal level, it can lead to burnout. There's that word again that I hate. Physical health problems and mental exhaustion. It really stops your ability to think clearly, or make decisions or even be present with your teams. And in fact, there's research that actually says that when you are highly stressed, you're 40% less productive than when you're not stressed. which kind of makes sense because it is difficult to think about the most stressful periods for me. It has been difficult to have clarity around what's going on, and everything just seems to compound it and get on top of each other. The other part is that stress leaders tend to create stress teams. If you're constantly reactive or irritable, it does trickle down to the people that you lead. And again, research tells us that high stress levels in a team lead to low morale, high turnover, decreased performance, all of those things, which in fact then feeds into more stress because you're then managing those problems as well. So managing stress isn't, while it's really important for your own well-being, it's not just about you, it's also about your team as well. It's important. One of the things that in my organisation, because we are all working remotely, we don't actually share an office, a physical office. We have a 15-minute huddle every morning. And sometimes, you know, when you have those days where you just think, oh, I just can't be bothered, and really push myself to be, morning, everybody, how are you? And that sort of thing is, I'm sure sometimes people just think, that's got to be fake. That doesn't seem real. But I know how important it is to be able to do that rather than, you know, I guess sometimes really revealing how you're feeling is just not something that we can always do. While you want to be genuine as a leader, it's not necessarily appropriate in some of those forums to be able to let people know that you're just not feeling good. So it can be hard. It can be really difficult. So how do you manage stress effectively? Here are some very basic techniques that you will have heard of before, but you might have forgotten about. Time management is one thing that I think we're probably all of us can relate to, or have experienced a lack of time to complete what we need to do. So having some time management techniques obviously can be really helpful, particularly as it's a major cause of feeling overwhelmed with tasks and deadlines. The Pomodoro technique, or time blocking, helps break tasks into manageable chunks. So basically what that is saying, okay, I've got this to work on, and what I'm going to do is a 25-minute focus session working just on that. And then set a timer. I think the Pomodoro is actually a timing. I think that's Italian for like a clock or something similar to that. It times that period, and the alarm goes off after 25 minutes, which you could do on your phone easily, or some other sort of alarm. And at 25 minutes, you need to have a break. So that is stepping away, doing something completely different that is a rest or a break. And it might be for 5 minutes, it might be for 7 minutes. Then you re-engage and do it again. And what the recommendation is that you do it 4 times. So 4 sprints, I guess, of 25 minutes with breaks. But at the end of the 4th one, you're going to have a longer break. You're going to have more like 30 to 60 minutes break. But it helps sort of really breaking a task down into chunks and then just focusing on it, turning other stuff off so that you can actually get through it. Another one that I use is the 2-minute rule. If I can do it in less than 2 minutes, I'll do it now. Because you know how some of that stuff builds up in your inbox or somewhere else, and it's just clutter, and it really makes things overwhelming because you've got so much to do. If I can't do it in less than 2 minutes, then I'll shift it somewhere else and do it later when I can actually focus on it. But if it's something that can be resolved in under 2 minutes, then I'll do it then. That can really help sort of clear out that clutter of small tasks that pile up. Another one to try is prioritization strategies. A key tool is learning to prioritize effectively. And even though it sounds really straightforward, it can be a little bit more difficult. Not every task on your to-do list is equally important. So you might have seen this before. It's called the Eisenhower Matrix. Basically, it's asking you all the things that you need to do. It's asking you to make a decision around, are they urgent? Are they important? Are they less urgent or less important? And pop them into one of those 4 boxes. I've included a blank one of these for you in the handout so you can do it yourself as well. But basically from there, you can work out what you need to do now, what you could schedule, what you can actually delegate to someone else, or what you simply just don't need to do at all. Again, it's one of those tools that sometimes just when you feel like you've got so much to do and there's so many things and they're all competing, that actually helps you make a decision about where to start and where you can schedule things to do at another time. Relaxation methods. They're really essential for combating physical and mental effects of stress. So practices like deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, or mindfulness meditation quickly calms your system and brings you back to a centered state. So for example, even trying now the 4-7-8 breathing technique, it's inhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 7, and exhale for 8. That's all you need to do. Doing something like that can just help give you a little bit of a break, or, you know, the time out that you need. And no one will even know that you're doing it at that time. You can do it anywhere, anytime. It's a fast, immediate way to actually reduce stress. We're going to do something similar in a minute too, so give you a chance to do that. So obviously managing stress is really important, but also building resilience is incredibly important too. One of the most powerful ways that we talk about building resilience is adopting a growth mindset. So often for me, I know there are things when you're presented with a challenge, my first thought is, oh, I can't do that. I don't have the skills. I'm going to have to get that, let that one go, get someone else to do it. I don't have it. But after some time, you might start to think, actually, this is a bit of a challenge, but what can I learn from here? So shifting away from that sort of fixed mindset that this is what all I can do, or this is my ability, to moving to that sort of, because that assumes that your abilities are set in stone, whereas the growth mindset embraces that idea that you can learn and grow from challenges. You know, you're approaching problems with some curiosity and wondering how it might be able to be solved. And that actually really helps build your resilience. Asking yourself, you know, what can you learn from this? What can you grow? I know that it's really simple to explain. It is much harder to apply, but when you get through it, if you reflect on times when you've actually achieved something that perhaps you thought you might not be able to, or that was a huge challenge, the feeling that you get from that, and also what you learn from that also, is incredibly important and does add to resilience. This one's a really important one, focusing on what you can control. Again, it's another critical mindset shift in learning to focus on what you can control rather than worrying about everything outside of your control. It's sometimes called the circle of control. It's one of the things when we talk to people that present, you know, clients are presenting the practice with anxiety. One of the things that, and we all do this, is the what ifs. That's probably one of the biggest signs that somebody is struggling with anxiety over, you know, something in particular, or maybe generally in life. But it's that worry about, what if this doesn't happen? What if that does happen? What if they don't do what they're supposed to? What if the end of the month it doesn't work out? That sort of stuff. That sort of worrying about things that's outside of our control. One of the questions that I often ask is, does worrying and stressing about the outcome actually influence the outcome? The answer is no, it doesn't. So you can spend a significant amount of time and headspace ruminating, going backwards and forwards over what might or might not happen. That's totally outside of your control. And so bringing you back to that sort of, well, what can I control? What am I responsible for, is far more effective than actually thinking about what might happen. Sometimes it's helpful to even continue on with that, you know, what if that doesn't happen? Answer those questions to yourself, because sometimes you'll get to the end and go, oh, well, if it doesn't work out the way I want it to, it'll be okay anyway, rather than getting stuck on that what if. That's really important. But obviously, when you stress over things that you have no influence over, like other people's behaviour or external events, it drains your energy. Shift your focus to what you can control, and you feel a bit more empowered, and it does help with resilience as well. The other one is cultivating optimism. Resilience really does come from cultivating optimism. And it doesn't mean, you know, ignoring challenges or pretending there aren't going to be difficult times, but it's actually helping reframe that and looking at, you know, what possible solutions there may be and having some hope around that. And the reason why we encourage optimism or thinking optimistically is that it shows that optimistic leaders are more resilient, because they're better able to envision positive outcomes and inspire their teams to keep moving forward. So it's really important to be able to see the positive as well. So in addition to mindset shifts, incorporating regular stress relief practices into your routine is really important. Mindfulness practices, we touched on basically, but incorporating it into your daily routine, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes, can really help you stay grounded. And again, it does contribute to you building resilience. Mindfulness helps you stay present. It reduces that mental spiraling, which is, I guess, a little bit what I was talking about before in terms of, once you get on, what if this happens and that might go bad and that might go bad. And for me, I envision a spiral slide. Once you're on it, you can't get off it. So really, it's really important to practice mindfulness, to ground yourself, to just think about the here and now and what's happening now. As a few of you mentioned, physical activity is one of the most effective ways to manage stress and build resilience. And in fact, for any of, one of evidence-based best practice for people that may have a clinical or subclinical depression or depressive disorder is exercise, just getting them to move. So starting, very small, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, it's one of the best things that you can absolutely do for not only mood, but also for managing stress as well. So it's incredibly important for us. Again, I know time is often one of the interfering factors in being able to do that, because we've got such busy schedules, and finding small pockets of time is really difficult, but it can make a huge difference. I guess the last thing too about building resilience is self-care. And whether it's spending time with loved ones or doing things that you really enjoy, engaging in a hobby, self-care actually replenishes your emotional and mental reserves, and it makes you stronger, helps you get over the challenges. It's really important to do and do those sorts of things to help you feel good. I think sometimes it's really easy to think that it is indulgence, and that if you're doing something nice for yourself, that it's a reward. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's a necessity. And I guess shifting that sort of view on it's really important. One of the things that I found really helpful with this is a book called The 5 a.m. Club. I'm not sure if many of you have heard it or read it. I have to say I blinksed it because I didn't think I had time to read it. So I listened to it in 20 minutes. And it's such a basic concept, but it really works for me. It's 20 minutes. The first 20 minutes at 5 a.m. is sweating. The next 20 minutes is meditation or mindfulness or just reflecting on yourself. And the last 20 minutes is actually learning something. So they're really basic concepts, but it's made a huge difference for me. So I guess to summarize, managing stress and building resilience are crucial in being an effective leader. Adopting some of those practical tools like the time management, prioritization, and relaxation methods reduces stress and also helps you feel like you're a little bit more in control. Okay, let's try it. So this technique, box breathing, it's actually also known as square breathing. It's really basic, but it involves inhaling, holding your breath, exhaling, and pausing in equal counts of 4. So if you imagine a box or a square, that's basically what you're doing. It's excellent for calming the mind and your body and reducing stress. It sounds really basic, but I'm going to ask you all to try it for a couple of minutes. So all you need to do when you're ready is inhale slowly and deeply through your nose for a count of 4. Focus on filling your lungs completely. Hold your breath for a count of 4. And then exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 4. And then pause and hold your breath for a count of 4. And then repeat. Just do it a few times. Just the square or the box breathing. How does it feel? How do you feel after doing that? Honestly, what does that feel like? Stacey's smiling, so that's good.
We have comments of like amazing, a little bit emotional, feeling lighter, feeling cool.
Nice. That's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's something about, because you're counting 4, 4, 4, 4, it stops. It makes you stop and just concentrate on what you're doing. So again, it's mindful. It brings you into the moment and think about where you are at the moment. Well done. Well done. Thank you for sharing. Oh, this is a concept that we're all chasing, isn't it? Achieving the work-life balance, whatever that is. I think it's particularly challenging as a leader, as a business owner. It's very difficult, I think. Mainly because you feel pulled in so many different directions, you know, whether it's looking after your team, directing them, your organisation demands results, your personal life also requires your attention. There's so much going on at the same time. We're going to talk a little bit about the common challenges that we face in balancing these demands, and hopefully share a couple of practical strategies to help create a healthier balance in your life. I think that leaders face a unique challenge when it does come to balancing work and personal life, because you carry that heavy load of responsibility and decision making, and it can make the lines between work and home always blurred. I think one of the things that probably we all experience is constant availability. With technology, you can answer an email at 10 o'clock at night or receive a call at 8 p.m. or 6 a.m. or you're always available. At the time, you know, at first you think, oh, this is quite productive because you can do things at any time, but it actually does lead to burnout and overwhelm. It's really not necessarily a helpful or positive thing. How many competing priorities do you all have? Like, how many jump to mind? You know, what's the number in your mind when I ask that? As you're managing people, you're overseeing projects, you're developing strategy, all while trying to make time for your personal life and your family. It's overwhelming. That constant juggling act is just overwhelming. And this one's a big one: perfectionism and pressure. There's this unspoken pressure to do it all perfectly. You must do it perfectly, which makes it hard. And this is one of the things that I find ridiculously difficult to do: delegate to other people. And simple stuff, I'm talking about really simple stuff that I do not need to do, that other people can do. But it is something about, you know, making sure I better just do it because then I'll know it's done correctly. That's so wrong. That's not accurate at all. And it's not fair for the people, the brilliant people that work with me too, because they're much smarter than I am and are better at doing things. And so it's really not fair on them. One of the things that I do, this is a terrible thing that I do, and I've decided to stop doing it in the last month, although having said that, I did it this week. When my receptionist is sick, I'm the receptionist. It's a ridiculous thing to do. It's an organisation of 25 people, and having to be the person that's answering the phone is just silly. And again, that is about just thinking, oh, it's just easier if I do it. It's actually not, because then I still have to do my work and everything else as well just gets piled on top of that. And it does lead to stress and burnout, and a sense that you're always behind. And that's an awful gut feeling that you've always got something that you need to do. So what do we do about that? So one of the most, you know, really important things is setting clear boundaries. There's got to be a clear boundary between your work and your personal time. And that might mean setting up no work time zones. So it might be, particularly for so many of us, I work from home all the time. As I said, we don't have an office. So it's very easy for me to think, oh, I didn't do that, I'll just go and do that. But having to have that time where you think, no, I've finished work for the day. It's, you know, maybe it's 5 o'clock is probably a good time. Earlier would be better. It's probably often later for most of you. But saying that's it, that's all I'm doing now, that's all I'm working, this is the time. Don't check emails after a certain time. You know, make sure that you're really clear. You make a decision about when knock-off time is, as if you didn't have access to them. Don't do meetings on certain days. Don't be available all the time. That's, you know, sometimes one of the traps I think we fall into in leadership is that you've got to be available all the time, or that open door policy. That's actually not always helpful for you. So really being able to make very clear decisions around what's going to work best for you, and then communicating them to your team, one, so they understand the reasons why you're doing it, but also they respect them. Delegating tasks, again, as I said before, for me, that's a big challenge. We often feel like you've got to do everything yourself, but that does absolutely lead to overload. Actually being able to identify tasks that other people can do not only frees up your workload, but it actually helps develop their skill and confidence as well, and your trust in them. So it's really important working out what you can delegate, what can you pass on. This one is a really important one, and it's something that's worked well for me. Integrate your personal time. So as you would put a meeting in your calendar on a Tuesday at 10 o'clock, schedule in your personal time in your work calendar as well. It's really important, and you've also got to stick to it. You can't just book something over the top of it or ignore it. Whether it's going to the gym or for a walk or lunch with a friend, or just time to do nothing, just to relax. It's really important. Make it a non-negotiable, and a commitment to yourself. Pop it in your calendar and repeat it every week. Make sure you put it on so that it's there every week. Earlier, we talked a little bit about time management and different things you can do, but another way to think about it is your energy management too versus time management. So because most of us are taught about, managing your time, squeeze as much in as you possibly can, use every last minute to do everything you can for work, that's not necessarily the most useful way to manage or to get the most out of you, I guess, in terms of productivity. Think about your energy. For some of us, your energy, you're more energized and focused at certain times of the day, and other times you feel more tired or distracted. If you try to push through a low energy period to complete a complex task, it's likely to take much longer and result in lower quality work. So instead of managing your time, focus on managing your energy. So this means work out when are your energy peaks, identify when you're most productive during the day, and then schedule your most important tasks during that day. Take regular breaks, really, really important. And that's not only for people with ADHD, it's for all of us. We all need to have regular breaks. Try the Pomodoro technique, sprint for 25 minutes, then have a break. It's really important. Just as important is prioritizing rest and recovery. So having those breaks, having that downtime, ensuring you get enough sleep and downtime to replenish your energy is really important. So I guess in summary, achieving a work-life balance really requires you setting some very clear boundaries, learning to delegate, and integrating that personal time into your daily routine. The other part is shifting your focus, not just from your time, but also to your energy can really help managing wellbeing or improving your wellbeing too. When you create space for both work and personal life, you not only become better leaders, but you're also happier and healthier individuals. So it's about doing what matters most with the energy and focus it deserves. So let's do a quick poll. Have a look at these questions or statements, sorry. And maybe either share which one is you or pop in the chat box. Which statement best describes you at the moment?
Okay, while everyone's popping everything in the chat box, just a few comments that, like perfectionism, people have got to realize it's toxic. One
Yes.
of my things is that your work-life balance isn't always 50-50. We have this thing where you slice it in half. Sometimes one needs a bit more attention than the other. Turn alerts off or set up silent times has been a big game changer.
Perfect. That's a good one. Yeah.
Same. I turn off all my alerts. I have no social media alerts on my phone.
Yep, that's a great idea.
Go for a walk around the block at lunchtime has helped someone to get clarity.
Yes.
And now it looks like we've got 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, talk with nature, 2 and 3. So we're seeing a few 2s and a 3.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. Yeah, so it sounds like we're all fairly similar in terms of where you're feeling you are at the moment. We're facing similar challenges when it comes to balancing that work and personal time. What has worked for you? I know someone said in the chat that having a quick walk around the block at lunchtime helps with clarity. What's something that has helped? Or on the other hand, what's a challenge you're facing at the moment that maybe others have got advice on to help that's simple that you're happy to share? Has anyone got either of those? Something that has actually helped you or a challenge that you've got at the moment?
Hi, me again.
All right. So now that we've sort of explored strategies for that work-life balance, let's move into the next topic, which is integrating mindfulness and healthy lifestyle choices into your routine. This helps support that balance that we're talking about, ensuring you manage time, and ensure you're not just managing your time, but thriving both physically and mentally. So there's nothing in this slide that's going to be particularly new, and I'm going to take you through an exercise in a minute that hopefully is going to be really helpful. So we'll just get through this bit. But basically, mindfulness is about being fully present, as we all know. It's being engaged in the moment without being overwhelmed by what's actually happening around us. And for us in leadership roles, it's absolutely essential because it helps you stay calm under pressure, focus on the task at hand, be thoughtful in your responses, and make, I guess, thoughtful decisions rather than reactive ones. So when you're mindful, you're also more able to listen to your teams and, personal relationships as well. You understand the dynamics at play and respond with empathy and clarity. In really high stress situations, being able to be mindful, while it sometimes can be challenging, can be incredibly powerful as well, because it helps you maintain that focus, which is, increasingly important in such a fast-paced world. So integrating mindfulness into your leadership practice can enhance your ability to stay grounded, which improves decision-making, communication, and overall leadership effectiveness in a nutshell. Doesn't have to be time-consuming either. And I remember when I was when it first became a thing, mindfulness in psychology, and teaching it to clients and thinking that it was a bit kind of hippy-dippy, and that's probably not something that I necessarily relate to. But then tried it and realised how beneficial it was. So, as I said, it doesn't need to take a lot of time. Mindful breathing, just even doing what Carrie described, perfect. Doing the square or box breathing, really, really easy. You can do it without anybody knowing. Doing a body scan, and I've included again in the resources a couple of 2 websites that have got all of this sort of stuff that you can just listen to while you're walking or sitting or traveling to work or any time, that really takes you through it step by step. But, scanning your body from head to toe, like sort of really analysing, are you holding stress anywhere or tension anywhere, is really beneficial. You don't, really think about it until you think about it, which is interesting. But it helps you also reconnect and you notice where stress is. And I know for me, I hold it in my shoulders, and then I realise I'm walking around with my shoulders like that all the time, and just becoming aware of it absolutely helps you realise something's going on. Even taking, 30 seconds between transitioning from one meeting to the next, from one task to another, from a phone call to an email, just taking 30 seconds to, take a few deep breaths, think about where you are, and then move on to it can really help you mentally reset. Again, it really helps you stay focused and move from one responsibility to the next. These exercises or practices are really small, but they're powerful. They're great ways to sort of center yourself and integrate them into your routine without needing a lot of time. The other 3 areas that are obviously really important that I'm not going to go too deep into, because we're all, I think, aware of it, is nutrition. Obviously, eating the right foods, as much as it's sometimes difficult not to want to, cravings in the afternoon for sweet stuff, that sort of stuff. Avoiding all that sort of thing makes a huge difference in, that sugar slump in the afternoon, or in your focus and energy levels. So being really aware of what you're eating. We've already touched on exercise. It's really important. Regular exercise, it's one of the best ways to manage stress, improve your mood, and boost overall energy. And it doesn't have to be long. It can just be 20 minutes a day or 20 minutes every other day. Just doing something is important. And it also helps with sleep, which I think Leanne mentioned earlier before. When she's training, she sleeps better. And I find that too. When I actually push myself, get up at 5 o'clock and do what I need to do, my sleep is much better. And we need to be aiming for 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. This really helps improve cognitive function and maintain emotional balance and a healthy lifestyle. So I guess to summarise, mindfulness and healthy lifestyle choices go hand in hand, and by integrating it, you can be more present and focused and calm under pressure. Okay. Now, I'm going to take you through an exercise. Again, this is one of these ones that the first time I heard about it, I thought, oh my God, this is just really weird and out there, but it's actually really powerful. some of you might have done it before. It's about identifying a safe and calm place. But one of the things I'm going to add to it, and again, some of you might have done this before, it's a technique that actually comes from EMDR. So if anyone knows what EMDR is, you might be familiar with this. Not yet, but I'm going to ask you to either cross your arms across your chest like that, or you can just put your hands on your legs if you're more comfortable. And when I ask you to, I'm going to ask you to tap, and not tap at the same time, but one hand at a time. The reason and you can do that on your knees, you can do it with your feet too, whatever, as long as it's one at a time, not at the same time. The reason that I'm going to ask you to do that while I take you through the exercise, and I'll let you know when to start, is because it keeps your working memory busy. And if your working memory is busy tapping, it helps you really sort of focus on the emotion, the feeling, the image. It takes away the busyness from thinking about, in 15 minutes, I need to be in another meeting, or I need to do this, or I need to move on to my next task. So I'm trying to sort of keep your working memory occupied so you can focus on the exercise. All right. When you're ready, find a comfortable way to sit, and gently close your eyes if you're comfortable doing so. You don't have to though, but close your eyes if you're comfortable. Take a deep breath in through your nose and slowly exhale through your mouth. What I want you to do is to imagine a place where you feel safe or feel calm. It can be a place that you visited, a place you'd like to visit, or a place that you create in your imagination. It's for you only you can see it. Create that image now, whatever it is that represents that place for you. As you're thinking of that calm or safe place, I want you to notice what you see. What can you see there? What can you hear? And what do you feel right now? Really focus on that place, on that image. Be aware of the sights, of the sounds, of what you can smell, and your body sensations you're experiencing. And when you're ready, I want you to start tapping. Just one hand at a time, whatever speed you're comfortable with. Just start tapping and think about your safe or calm place. Focus on where you feel the pleasant sensations in your body and enjoy them. Keep tapping a little bit longer. That image or that place, is there a word for you that represents that? Is there a name? It's only for you. I'm not going to ask you to share it. Is there a name or something you can call it so you can remember it when you need to? When you've come up with that word, focus on the positive feelings that comes with that word in that place. Just keep tapping. When you're ready, you can stop tapping. You can open your eyes. Anybody feel confident or courageous enough to share how they feel after that?
I I think I need a nap.
Yeah, I feel sleepy now.
It definitely can do that.
Yeah, calm and centered. I'd say that's, yeah, perfectly well put.
One of the things that you can do with that exercise that you can try by yourself is, when you have, and the best way to do it is start with minor irritations, things that are annoying you that are not big problems, you'll overcome it, but it's annoying you, it's in the back of your mind. Think about it and then start tapping and just see what happens. It's a really powerful exercise. It just takes the energy out of it. Before you started tapping and thinking about it, it might have been, say, a 3 out of 10 on the annoyance scale. Then you go through that exercise and tap and then think about it again, and it reduces. There's something about it that takes away that charge to make you feel, a little more able to manage and in control. So visiting that safe place or calm place is really powerful when you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed and just need a breakout. It only takes a couple of minutes, and the tapping connects you there too, and helps you, as I said, keep your working memory busy so you don't fall back into what do I need to be doing, what's next. All right, so we're just about finished. We're nearly at the end. So I guess the key takeaway from today is a lot about in your well-being and the importance. We've talked about the mental, physical, and emotional well-being being the absolute foundation of effective leadership. When we take care of ourselves, we enhance our ability to lead with clarity, focus, and resilience. We've talked about stress management and building resilience. We've talked about a couple of practical tools for managing stress, like the time management, relaxation, prioritization techniques. We talked a bit about achieving work-life balance and the difficulties we all face in being able to achieve that, but using things like setting boundaries, delegating tasks, and managing energy, not just time. And finally, integrating mindfulness and healthy lifestyle choices is core to really being able to be effective and manage your well-being. I started with this, and I guess I'll finish with this. The most important thing is around well-being is not a nice to have. It really is not a luxury. It's a necessity. So from here for you now, can you set a personal well-being goal? Can you pick an area? Is it about just integrating mindfulness into your day just for 5 minutes? Could you create some accountability by sharing what you're going to do with somebody else so that you follow through? Whatever it is, the most important thing is being consistent, because the more that you do it, even if it's only a couple of minutes a day, the momentum will grow and the benefit you will get will be unbelievable in a short period of time. Taking care of yourself isn't just about feeling good. It's about showing up as the best version of yourself. So I guess that is the final takeaway, is make well-being a priority in your life, because you can't pour from an empty cup. So investing in yourself is really investing in those around you. Any questions or anything that you would like to know about or that I haven't been clear about?
Before they're asked, what I'll do is I'm going to finish this recording and thank everyone for joining us, and also say, so please, for any of your mental health concerns, please reach out to Julie. And we've actually partnered with Pynk Health with an employee assistance program. So I've put the link in there for the BWA link to consider as well. So I'm going to thank everyone, and then we're going to stop this recording so we can talk a little bit more freely. Thank you for joining the Business Women Australia Masterclass. We hope today's session has provided you with actionable insights and strategies to empower your personal and professional growth. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to stay informed about future masterclasses and content. If you're not already a member of Business Women Australia, what are you waiting for? Head to our website today and join. Become part of a dynamic network of business leaders and gain access to exclusive resources, events, and opportunities to elevate your career. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in our next masterclass.